Hello. Hello. Not sure if I got the first hello. If not, you got two hellos. I'm going to talk about profit today. Now, most people confuse profit with another word, which is wages. Now, the definition of wages is earned income. That's what wages are. Profit is unearned income. Basically, what the wage is a measure of is, say you buy some raw materials and some tools to work on those raw materials, and with those tools, out of those raw materials, you produce a product, right? And then you sell that product at market. The wage is in this situation the difference between the cost of materials and tools and the sale price, right? And that difference is made up by the cost of labour. And we won't go into how the value of labour is constructed or made here. Marx talks about socially necessary labour time. But for the purposes of understanding profit, that's all you need to know about wages. Now then, for profit to come in, we have to introduce a third party to the prior relationship. So in the prior relationship, you have the person that buys and works with and on the tools and raw materials, and you have the person that buys the product at the end of it. To understand profit, for profit to occur, there needs to be a third party. And what this third party does is he has an initial capital investment, and with that initial capital investment, he pays for the tools, the raw materials, and wages, at least at the beginning. But he's not going to do that for nothing, is he? He's not going to give up the capital at the beginning for nothing. So he wants to take a cut, and that cut has to come from somewhere, and that cut comes from the labour. So from the cost of labour, he basically pays the labourer less than what his labour is worth, so that he can get the remainder. That's the profit. That's what profit is. It's actually a measure of rapacity. It's a kind of con job, because in the first instance, where we're only considering wages, each individual within that exchange is necessary. You need a buyer and you need a seller. You need somebody to make the product that's being sold. And if the person selling the product and the person making the product are the same person, then that individual is necessary. He can perform those two roles easily. The person who makes a profit, he's not necessary. He's essentially a middleman. There's a film called Layer Cake, and in it there's a quote that says, "The art of good business is being a good middleman." And the thing about middlemen is they're parasites. They're not necessary. You can get rid of them. Even like say the argument could be made that the people that produce products need somebody to sell them for them, and this is true. That the sale of a product goes into the labour. But say a lot of people who have shares, they don't actually engage in the act of advertising, selling, shop fronting or whatever. They just sit back at home and they receive a profit. They're basic from their perspective. What they've essentially done is given somebody £1 and got £10 in return for nothing, just for sitting on their ass. But even if you justify the profit with things like, oh, they need to have somebody to take them to market for them and stuff like that, that labour would have a certain value which the profit margin far exceeds. It's like, why should the person who does the least get far more for his labour than the person that does the most? So profit is it's a dirty word. It's rapacity, and it's crazy, right? That you look at most politicians, and one of the main kind of things that matter in an election is whether a possible party or politician or president is going to be able to maintain growth, GDP, gross domestic product. And what gross domestic product is a measure of is profit, because it's linked to the stock exchange, right? So gross domestic product is a measure of how much the parasitic class is taken from the working class, the actual wealth producing class. And to have that measure, right, as the main kind of bulwark in politics is just crazy. It's truly a case in which the chickens have been tricked into voting for the fox, between foxes, and not just between foxes, but the mentality behind their decision to vote is which fox is going to be the most rapacious, which fox is going to eat the most of them. It's bonkers. Anyway, goodbye.